So AOC went on Instagram Live early this week on Monday, and she basically gave a tell-all about her experience during the Capitol Hill riot or insurrection, whatever you want to call it. And she also revealed that she's a sexual assault survivor. That's sort of besides the point. That's like a side story. The main thing, though, is that she is sort of detailing her entire experience, talking about how she was in her office as the protesters / rioters were storming through the Capitol. And basically, she details, I'm not going to play the video for it just because it's just too long and too drawn out. And obviously, we don't give a fuck that much about her detailing her experience. But we could summarize it right here, is that she was in the bathroom of her office and she heard a loud thud, a loud knock, and then she, heard someone busting through saying, "Where is she? Where is she?" Like yelling. She thought her life was in danger. And basically, turned out to be a Capitol police officer telling her to basically leave the building and go to another. I think told her to go to Longworth. So she was in Cannon, and told her to go to another Capitol office building. The whole characterization, though, is that as we find out, she was actually not in the U.S. Capitol building. She was in Cannon, which is about a 15, 20-minute walk to the Capitol. I mean, it is if you've ever been to the Capitol building, it is kind of a schlep, given the fact that it's literally across the street. But Jay, you basically called this almost immediately, and I was afraid you're going to get banned almost immediately on Twitter because of what you said. You basically said, and I quote, "She's just jealous of Andrew Cuomo getting the Emmy."
Right. Well, it's the reason why I knew she was lying about this kind of stuff is because she has a history of over exaggerating and lying, especially when you see those photos that you can still meme to this day of her going to the border and crying at an empty parking lot.
Yeah.
Right. Crying at an empty parking lot and shit. You just knew that what she was doing here was playing off of that because she saw all of that attention she got from these journalists and stuff who are not going to ask questions. Who's going to ask the question and deny her truth or, her lived experience, especially her bringing in that her sexual assault and that kind of stuff, or that she's a sexual assault survivor. And that's beside the point. I think she has a very bad sickness. She's a manipulator. She's a liar, and she knows how to play the people like journalists who are writing these stories or these tweets, who are not going to fact check this, who are not going to come out and say, "Well, actually, you weren't in the fucking Capitol building. You were, 2 blocks away from it. Nobody was actually coming into your guys' building and stuff." It's not to say that it wasn't a scary experience or whatever, hearing what was going on, but that's what it was. That's what it was. You were hearing what was going on. You weren't present or experiencing what was going on.
Do you think her big naturals hypnotize the media?
Say that again, Ryan.
I said, do you think her big naturals hypnotize the media?
Her big naturals?
Sorry, go ahead. I just haven't talked in a while, so I just lost train of thought. Go ahead. I wasn't interested in what you were saying, so I had to interject.
All right. So one thing real quick. Thank you, Mr. Kenzo. He writes the hashtag Alexandria Ocasio-Smollett. So this is actually like the #1 hashtag trending on Twitter.
Trending right now. Yeah,
it's still trending.
It is.
And I wonder. I mean, Ryan, what do you think about all this? Do you think the backlash is warranted when you?
Okay, I did not follow any. I was in the middle of Lincoln Project shit, so I literally didn't see the video. I saw a half a second of it.
Well, no one has to sit through and watch any of her Instagram lives because every journo posts them on Twitter.
Yeah, I saw clips of it, and I just think look, it could have been very scary.
Absolutely.
If someone says, I get that it's scary. My uncle is a Vietnam War veteran who saw action, and he has never talked about it to this day. I think, calm down, girl. there are people who've been through worse traumatic experiences who don't need to make it a moment for yourself. But everybody, like the Lincoln Project people, like it's all about them being fathers and how they feel as fathers. It's not about you all the time. So calm the fuck down. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. Do I think that she was scared at the time? Absolutely. Do I think like it was a terrifying experience? Sure. She's probably like a thin little girl and like not little like thin woman. I don't want to sit there and dismiss her, but I can see how the whole situation was scary. However, it's been a month basically since that happened, and she comes out with it, and you know, I don't know. I think of my uncle. I think I'm seeing combat in Vietnam and him not saying a word for 55 years, and him like living with it, and her using her gigantic platform that she has to talk about how she was scared a month ago when she really wasn't in danger.
Yeah.
Right.
JC, go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry, Jay. I'm sorry, Royal.
Do I sound that white and nasally?
You bitch.
No, I do. That's the funny thing. I do sound white. Sound white as fuck. But I mean, to me, I think that she's egging this on so that more and more sympathies will go towards showcasing Republicans as these murderous fucking terrorists and stuff like that, and it's going to grow that narrative, and you're going to see a lot of journalists posting that shit. I mean, it's died down a lot.
Did you ever hear this? It's an old saying: "If God didn't exist, we'd have to create him." Mm-hmm. If Trump didn't exist, which he doesn't right now on media at all, they're trying to create him, and they're trying to make him something. Even when look at GameStop, I mean, that was like they connected GameStop to Trump because they have to get fucking clicks somehow.
That's fucking wild. JC says, "My bad, love you guys. AOC is a hack. This 5 is for Ryan."
Okay, I saw JC's question, so JC's question was, why didn't you express outrage about Trump with all the women? Here's my thing. I wasn't the journalist who broke the Trump story. It never landed on my plate. Had it, I would have talked about it. I don't talk about things in general that I'm really not covering in great detail. I might send a tweet out, whatever. That's it. Yeah. I don't really know the Trump allegations of him walking the dressing room. I've heard it very briefly. I don't really give a shit. I don't know what is about me that everyone wants to tell me their depravities to, but if I just sat there and just steamed out the outrage for everything, that's all I would do all day. So if it's true, yeah, it was bad. It's not my place to sit there and denounce somebody for something bad they did that I'm not reporting on, that I didn't break. No one looks to me for like moral compass and anything. I live in fucking Queens, New York, and I have a picture of female troubles from John Waters on my wall. Like, no one gives a shit about I don't have to denounce Bill Cosby to write about somebody else. I shouldn't have to denounce Trump to write about the Lincoln Project.
It's like the blind condemnation, like when you remember when in early 2019 when Ilhan Omar in particular and Rashida Tlaib, but mainly Ilhan Omar was under fire for saying anti-Semitic comments and sending out anti-Semitic tweets, and the House drafted a resolution that was originally going to condemn anti-Semitism, but then they generalized and whitewashed it to basically say any form of bigotry to sort of protect Ilhan Omar. It's sort of like that, where you just like, you don't want to face the actual problem. You rather just, sidestep it and just say, oh, all of that's bad.
Okay, here's my thing. I don't like when people in power do bad shit. There's my broad condemnation. I mean, it's just I don't have to denounce. If you follow my career, which most people probably don't, I have denounced Trump on so many broad issues. But if it's not a subject matter I'm breaking in the news, I really don't talk about it publicly because, one, no one gives a flying fuck about my opinion, and I'm not as much of a sociopath like everyone else on Twitter to believe that they do. Yeah. So it's just, that's how I feel. So I
have never once given a shit about your opinion,
because I tell you suck each and every day.
After being in this in this stream for this long, I can say that I can really agree.
I mean, look, last time, the only other time I was on the Habibi show, it was on election day. I was blasted drunk and said, if we win Virginia, I'm showing my dick. That's why we lost Virginia. So, like, I'm not a person that anyone gives a flying fuck about my opinion on people.
Unless it's seeing your dick. Then they really do care.
And that's a tragedy.
That is why Trump lost Virginia.
Yes. But the vote hadn't been in yet, and then I said that, and it was all over. I just think that I don't have to, and you're not the first person to say this to me. Why don't you say anything about Trump? It's no one gives a shit enough of me to sit there and say that. And even if they had, the people who always circle the wagons on politics as how they live in life and judge people and judge everything, they wouldn't have cared had I said something or not. They would have just said, "Oh, he's still a hack." So, what the fuck?
Yeah, well, you can't please everyone. However, Wyatt Tarosian, thank you, Wyatt. Wow, I can't even say that. Let's go.
You get as bad as I do with names when you start drinking.
He says, "Buy Ryan a shirt that fits."
Wyatt, you oversized fucking leprechaun. Go find a tree to make cookies in and leave everybody alone, okay?
No, it's really funny because Wyatt, I mean, he's got a jihadi beard right now. He's Armenian, but he looks white and ginger. But I think he has some jihad.
He's Armenian and Mexican, okay? And you know what that means? He can never buy a house. So
that's
he's got a fake ass and he never buy a house. That's what that means.
Oh, we got Michael up in the house. Jay, Siraj skipped my question. What was your question, Michael?
Oh, go up there. It wasn't really a question, more like a statement about Ryan.
Oh, good. I have a question. You know, that's the perfect question is like, I don't have a question, but a comment.
Basically, everybody.
JC says, I appreciate your answer and agree. I appreciate what you guys do. Thank you.
Yeah, and JC, I hope I didn't offend you by what I said. It's how I feel. And look, I did my only other sexual harassment story I ever did was when I was working with Siraj actually at Red Alert Politics. And it was against Charles Payne. And it was that this woman accused Charles Payne of Fox Business of raping her. And I had their personal emails given to me by somebody. And I was able to actually show that he never raped her. And she talked about it in the emails. I'm not out there to be a purist or to do anything. Everyone knows my politics. I'm not hiding it. I'm not a fucking I'm not a brilliant. I'm never getting a Pulitzer Prize. I get one Christmas card a year. Like, I don't get shit. So it's just how it is. So I don't mean to. I hope you're not offended. I got this a lot of why don't you denounce Trump? Why don't you denounce Trump? It's not my place to denounce everybody. Like, I don't go off about who's that the guy who owns CBS News or whatever. No one gives a shit about my opinion, and that's fine, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Here is Michael's question. He says, Ryan Girdusky sounds kind of gay to me, but
not as gay as you look, Michael, so go fuck yourself, okay?
Boom!
You fake fucking Italian. I know what you eat for Christmas dinner and Christmas Eve, and it ain't fucking 7 fishes, son of a bitch. Yes, Les Moonves. Thank you, Mitchell. You're an angel.
Eric Halverson, thank you. Eric says, is there a way to change the media business model so that people like AOC and MTG don't get so much attention? Here's the thing. There is a huge vacuum right now. As you said, Ryan, you beautifully put it. The fact that if there was never a God, we'd have to create a God. Just like there isn't a Trump, we're creating a Trump. Marjorie Taylor Greene is that figure. She is. I was going to ask this question, but I feel I can answer it because I feel strongly about this. And that people need to have a villain out there. There always needs to be a villain. There always needs to be a good versus evil battle, and we always need to focus on defeating evil.
We all need a personal armor.
Right. We all think that we're good. So when it comes to an evil villain on the right, that was lacking. So who did they pick? Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's crazy enough. She has given basically credence to the QAnon conspiracy theories. She's given credence to the Parkland, basically saying Parkland shooting was a false flag. Sandy Hook was a false flag. She basically was a 9/11 truther. Of course, she's tonight and during that GOP meeting that we were referencing about Liz Cheney, she supposedly apologized for saying she followed QAnon in the past and that she called Parkland a false flag. and apparently half of the GOP caucus within the House basically gave her a standing ovation. It was originally reported that
can I tell you
a standing ovation unprompted, but now that we know a little bit more information,
can I give everyone an MTG story? Because I had a 4-hour lunch with her. So I've never said
let's hear it.
I've never said this publicly. So I got invited to an MTG fundraiser. I didn't pay, and it was a small fundraiser. It was a high dollar fundraiser, so not that big. Middle of the day, so business people were coming and going. They were not staying for very long. So it was basically me and her. And she is not at all what she looks like in the media. And I'm not defending her because I'm a fan of her. I just, whatever. So it was her, me, and her staff. And we're talking for a long time. I gave her a copy of my book, and I asked her to read it for just like the legitimate purposes of I think there are important things in that book. But I asked her, what is the biggest problem in America? And she said to me that, and this is like basically a quote. She said to me that working class people are portrayed so poorly in the media, that a plumber will be fat with his ass crack hanging out, and someone working at an office desk will be beautiful and thin. And then I said to her, what if you could change anything about America? If you were in control of the government and you could change one thing, what would America look like differently in 10 years than it does now? And she said, everything that we could make in America, we would. I asked her point blank, do you believe in QAnon? And she said no. And then after that whole meeting with her, and I had a great impression of her, even knowing what I knew about her. And I thought, oh, she's going to be a lunatic. And she really wasn't to me in that face-to-face interview, a conversation we had. Then her staff came by her. And she said that she'd been studying AOC and that she'd been studying the way AOC acts and the way that AOC gets her, has gotten so much publicity. And she was asking a lot of questions about AOC, and I said, listen, before AOC existed, there was Chakrabarti. Before Chakrabarti, there was the DSA and Justice Democrats. It was an organization of progressive Democrats that she was talking about trying to primary establishment Republicans. I said, that can't happen unless you build an infrastructure around it the way that AOC had an infrastructure around her. I don't think she really got it. Then her staff comes sits next to me, this tall fucking ginger from like Northeast Georgia and like some other bunch of people.
Was that Wyatt?
That was not Wyatt. And they kept on saying, we're going to make her a star. We're going to make her a star. We're going to make her a star. And I finally just cracked and I was like, how are you going to make her a star? And they go, we're going to run on guns and abortion. And I was like, see, you have potential, but you have morons around you. And you're never going to get it. And he goes, don't you understand? We're going to end abortion in America. I said, don't you understand? You're not. And I looked her straight in the face and I said, your staff is so incompetent, they're going to make you Steve King in less than a year. And I think that is, and I gave her suggestions for who to hire in her staff. I even offered to her to let me help out in the first 6 months of her being there. I don't know how much of a hand they've played in this, but I do know that the staff is very hungry to make her a power player and to make her get attention. And I think she's much more genuine. And she totally dismissed. I asked her about QAnon, whatever. She said she doesn't believe it. So, she is maybe what happens when boomers get on technology, but I think that she has a little more. I think she's got a little more brains than people give her credit for. At the same time, I think she's grossly understaffed with incompetent people.
Look, I know that people's public personas and private personas are completely different. I totally get that.
Right.
That's totally possible.
Yeah. I was very impressed when I met with her, and I was, genuinely impressed with it. And she said to me things that I was like, wow, I completely agree with you. If she clearly said things about Jews with lasers. Okay, that's fucking crazy. There's no way to get around that shit. That's absolute batshit fucking crazy.
Yeah, all right, so I kind of came late to the whole Jews with Jewish space lasers. What the fuck is that about?
I don't even know if I've seen that statement or anything.
Something about Jews with space lasers funded by George Soros doing something. I don't really know.
I feel like Jay would know the most about it, given he's from the UAE and he's sort of he's sort of taught to know from basically when he's little.
Well, what we're on right now, the conspiracy we're on right now, is that COVID was made by Israel labs to tank the Chinese economy for America.
But,
It was like,
wait, can I say, because I'm looking at the comments, can I say one more thing? What she should have done had she hired a professional staff, which she did not, and I've worked
Right.
on campaigns for 15 years, so she should have, one, made her personal Facebook private, which she never did. Secondly, deleted all that shit. And thirdly, if any of it came forward, just sit there and say, you know what? I was just talking out loud. I don't believe it. I'm sorry if I offended anybody, and just got past it. But because she continues not to sit there and just say, hey, I said some weird fucking shit. I had a drinking problem. I don't know. Whatever. She didn't have a drinking problem. I'm just making a joke. But
right.
she should have sat there and said make an excuse. Say, I'm going to therapy now. I'm a better person. Whatever it is, and just get past it. I'm not excusing the things she said, in case anyone's saying that.
Yeah. No, and I'm with you 100%. But the thing is that there's a lot of things in essentially. Sorry.
Ryan Siraj, as a gay journalist, how do you feel about Jen Psaki making homophobic remarks about Lindsey Graham? I didn't hear that. What you said.
This is an old tweet from August.
Wait,
20.
I have a point though, and I think it's a good with her staff and the people she has right now is like never apologize, never take a step back, never admit that you're wrong, and I think that's what got her into a lot of trouble.
100%.
I really do because a lot of times like it's like she fights or he fights.
I'm not laughing. Not Steve. Not Steve said, I've only got this Catholic earthquake machine. That is the funniest fucking thing I've ever heard. And I'm probably that is so fucking funny. What you call it? No, you're right. And it's this whole thing so fucking funny. It is so fucking funny. No, that's true. It's this whole thing of like, I want to be like Trump. I'm never going to fucking apologize. Okay, Trump lost his second term in part because he couldn't shut the fuck up. Like, a big thing was Trump could not shut the fuck up. He spent 6 months of his of the year he was running for re-election trying to solve a cold case with Joe Scarborough and his assistant. Like, shut the fuck up sometimes. Is it really like? Here's the question: do you want to be a? Do you want to have like do you want to be a product? Do you want to push yourself out there, or do you want to make change in a fundamental way for the government? At a certain point, if you want to just sell shit and make money for your campaigns, do what MTG is doing. If you want to sit there and actually be able in a position to make power, you do not do what she's doing, because she'll never be a senator. She'll never be in House leadership. She will be a backbencher forever and have as many votes as Steve King did in the end.